What's up? Ghost Fictions is here, and we're back again. This is the fourth part of a story where Issei was the son of the legendary Dark Knight, Sparda. But before we start, please consider subscribe to the channel and give this video a like. Don't forget to check the description for more informations. Now, let's get into part 4. Sardinia, Italy. Off the coast of the country of Italy lies the Mediterranean island of Sardinia, a tropical paradise that is a famous attraction that gets more tourists than both Italy and most Europe combined. Within this tropical paradise lies a large manor on top of a hillside, and the outside of said manor stood Azazel, along with a young man that seemed to be early 20s. The young man had short black hair and pale grey eyes. He wore a black Gregory combat uniform, as well as a black coat. But next to the black-haired youth stood a large black dog with crimson red eyes. The black dog in question naturally radiated an ominous aura around it. Serious. So what are we doing here, Azazel? Isn't this island part of Heaven's faction since it's so close to Italy, which is like their main base of operations? Azazel smirks with a raised eyebrow. What's wrong, Tobio? Not used to sunshine and exotic beaches? Tobio sweat drops. Maybe if this place wasn't owned by enemy territory, then maybe I would be interested. Curious. But I'm more surprised that you didn't bring Volley with you, since you usually bring him these types of things. Azazel sighs. Normally I would, but right now he is too busy training at the Gregory after what I told him the truth about his destined rival. Sweat drops. To be honest, I can't tell if he was pissed or excited that his rival was actually able to take on a being that was on par with my father. It had been 2 weeks since Azazel's conversation with the white-haired boy, to which afterwards he explained to his foster son, Volley, about the details of the conversation. To which a brief moment Azazel saw a hint of jealousy in Volley's eyes, that the fact his rival was stronger than him when he thought he was just an ordinary human who just got lucky being possessed by one of the 2 celestial dragons. But quickly went away as he could tell that Volley saw it as motivation to surpass his limits to reach his rival's level of strength. It was then he heard Tobio chuckling at what Azazel was thinking about Volley's reaction. Tobio chuckles. I don't think that a battle maniac like Volley would get jealous over something like that, since just like his great-grandfather, he has too much pride to let something like that stop him. Smiles softly. No, if anything he no doubt sees it as a challenge he wants to overcome, and you know how lately he's been trying to find ways to challenge God-class beings in order to test his strength. Azazel serious. I guess so, but all this craving to fight stronger opponents will get him into a lot of trouble pretty soon, and I know that it's his draconic instincts that is enticing him to seek out powerful opponents. But he is still just a kid, and all this living fast and dying young. He is just going to end up regretting it in the long run, and I felt like I got a good glimpse of it when I spoke to Issei. Tobio a bit saddened. Indeed, both myself and the rest of my team were sad to hear about his backstory. No one should have to go through something like that, especially at such a young age. Azazel serious. It was then a golden magic circle appeared next to the 3 individuals. The magic circle in question radiated holy power, which caused Tobio and the black dog to get into a fighting stance. But Azazel quickly put his hand in front of Tobio as a sign to stand down and that it was alright. Azazel serious. It was about time he showed up. From the golden magic circle came a handsome-looking man with long blonde hair and green eyes. He wears a red robe with a gold cross on the front of his white alb. He has golden shoulder plates with a white sash. Serious. Hello, brother, it has been some time since we last directly spoke to another. Azazel serious. Hello Michiel, thank you for hearing my request and letting us come here despite being part of your faction's territory, as well as us technically being enemies. Michiel serious. Well, given what you told me that this is related to the frequent demonic attacks around the world, correct? Tobio mind. Serious. Well, that would explain why Azazel didn't want to bring Volley with him. Ever since Issei's fight against Riser Phenex, there had been an increase of primordial demons slipping out of the realm of Inferno and into not the human realm, but also the realms of other pantheons. Since Azazel's interaction with the white-haired boy has quadrupled in the past 2 weeks, with the demons being more aggressive, which is affecting every faction in the world. Azazel serious. Yes, I'm guessing it has gotten pretty rough for your faction as well, correct? Michiel serious. Before we would see primordial demons enter the human world at least a dozen a year, but now it's been over 2 dozen every week. The other seraphs and I had been forced to be more direct with the church than we should and sent our angels to help aid our exorcist in destroying them. I'm afraid if we don't get a handle on this problem soon, then I'm afraid that the supernatural might be exposed to the human world in no time. Azazel sighs in annoyance while scratching the back of his head. Yeah, I know, tell me about it. Serious. Both my agents and troops are running thin, plus I have some internal problems that I'm currently trying to deal with, but with this outburst of demons popping out and my own faction's problems, I can't tell what to tackle first. Michiel. Serious. I see, I could only imagine the chaos that the devils are currently facing with this new outbreak, given how the realm of Inferno is within the underworld. Azazel. Serious. I would imagine not great, since Mundus thought that the devils that Lucifer and Lilith created were lesser beings, and as such the majority of the demons no doubt see it the same way. But if I'm being honest, I don't think the demons that we've noticed are not attacking entirely at random. Michiel. Curious. How so? Azazel. Serious while gesturing to Tobio. It's better to let him explain it. This is Icus, Tobio, one of my top agents and fighters. He's also the leader of my special team within the Gregory that usually performs stealth missions for me. Michiel. Serious. And he is the wielder of the Longinus Canis Lycaean. Smiles softly. It is a pleasure to meet you, I am Michiel, leader of the Angels of Heaven. Tobio. Bows politely. Greetings, Michiel-sama. Michiel. Serious. So what can you tell me what is so strange about these demonic attacks? Tobio. Serious. Ever since the frequent increase of demon appearances 2 weeks ago, Azazel has had my team tracking them and taking them down before they hit any areas filled with humans so that they wouldn't expose the supernatural. But on one of our hunts we noticed something about their behavior. Michiel. Curious. Strange. Tobio. Nods. In that they were not directly attacking humans whenever they got close to a human town or city, they were sneaking around while suppressing their presence. Michiel. Serious. That doesn't sound like particular demon behavior whatsoever, since they are no better than wild beasts always on the prey for human blood and are always on the path of destruction. Azazel. Serious. I agreed, and when Tobio told me that I and some of the other cadres crossed, referenced that with other attacks that we heard of, and we found a pattern. That is, demons are not necessarily attacking people, they're. Michiel. Surprised. They're looking for something. Azazel. Serious. Looking for someone. Michiel. Surprised. You already know who they are looking for. Azazel. Serious. Maybe, but if my hunch is right and given the timing between now and 2 weeks ago, then the possibility of that being that person is 100%. Looks at the manor. If this person is related to who I think he is, then no doubt this woman will know where to find him. Michiel. Serious while looking at the manor. I see. I guess that she would be involved to some degree given you asked to come here specifically. Despite being a witch, she had a secret pact with both heaven and the church in order to help train some of our warriors on how to use magic or how to combat them. But I would have thought she would have said something to us if she knew what was going on. Azazel. Serious. The part of me is still surprised that you still allow magic into your faction, since as the most common forms of magic derived from the devil's magic system. Michiel. Serious. An argument that is still going on to this day within the church, but after the war you and I both know that all of us had to make certain changes in order to prosper in this new era we live in. Azazel. Sighs. I guess you're right about that. Well, let's get this over with. As the 4 individuals made their way into the manor, they were surprised to notice that the doors were unlocked and the inside was fairly dim. As soon as the 4 individuals entered the manor, a female voice echoed throughout the manor. Smiles. Well, are you boys just going to stand around like you all did outside, or are you gonna come inside and talk? Complying with the woman's demand, the 3 men followed where the voice came from into what seemed to be what looked like a living room. At the center, lying on a couch, was an extremely beautiful woman. With a body that is described as putting models to shame, she has a slender sexy body with large breasts. She has long chestnut brown hair, purple eyes, and a mole under her eye. Upon seeing the 3 men in front of her, the brown-haired woman couldn't help but put up an illustrious and mischievous smirk as she casually lied on her couch, giving them a proactive view of her body. Smiles. What do you have here? When I sensed the presence of not only a fallen angel and a sacred gear user outside my home, I honestly thought I would have to get my hands dirty, but then I sensed the presence of an archangel of all beings and thought my house was about to be the site of a large skirmish. But now, Lord and behold, not only I'm in the presence of not only the Archangel, Michiel, but also the Governor General Azazel, as well as a sacred gear user who is also a member of the Honnouji clan. Tobio. Serious. I prefer not to be considered a member of that clan. Smiles. I guess that is understandable given how strict they are with their members, with sacred gear members being out of the question. Michiel. Serious. I see you are doing well, Lucricia Zola. Lucricia. Smiles. It is good to see you as well, Archangel Michael. Now then, I cannot help but become curious as to why you are here with someone who is supposed to be your enemy. Azazel. Serious. We're here to talk about your grandson and where he might be. Michiel. Shocked. Wait, grandson. Lucricia, you had a child. Lucricia. Smiles. HMPH. My, he has only been awake for 2 weeks, and he has already started up trouble with the biblical factions. I swear, what am I gonna do with that troublesome grandson of mine? Azazel. Serious. So I'm guessing you were already aware of his awakening. Lucricia. Smiles. Why, of course, I am his grandmother after all, and he is my only family, so of course I would do my best to keep an eye on him. Even when he was asleep, I did my best to keep tabs on him by sending familiars to Kuo to watch him from time to time. Azazel. Raises an eyebrow. Yet you weren't able to send a familiar to warn him about his encounter with one of my operatives. Lucricia. Serious. I'm pretty sure that was more your fault than mine, and like I said, I tried my best. Plus, if you haven't noticed that I'm technically with the church, and having any form of interaction in enemy territory would look bad on me. Especially since it took the church about 200 years to actually trust me, since I'm a witch and all. Smirks with a raised eyebrow. Plus, if you know who my grandson really is, then it's going to take more than just a little stab to the heart with a spear of light to kill him. Azazel. Serious. Given who he is related to, then it would take someone who is at least above God class to even leave a definite scratch on him. Michiel. Serious. Wait, hold on a minute here, Lucricia, you didn't answer my question. Did you really have a child? Lucricia. Curious. Smiles. Oh yes, that. Yes, I did conceive a child, and that child grew up to have a child of her own who is my grandson. Michiel. Shocked. When was all this? Lucricia. Smiles fondly. About over 200 years ago, I would say. One morning as I was walking around near the beach, I found a young man who washed up on shore. When I found him, he was wearing attire befitting that of a samurai, which told me that he was from Japan, and since I didn't want him to become ill, on a whim, I decided to take him back to my home and nursed him back to health. When he regained consciousness, he told me that his name was Issei Hyoudou, and that he was a samurai with a promising future who served under a local lord in the town he was born in. Michiel. Mind. Serious. Hyoudou, I know for sure, I have heard that name before from someone in the church. Lucricia. Saddened. One day the lord's wife fell in love with him and wanted to be with him, but Issei, the ever-proud and honorable soldier like his namesake, refused her advancements. For months she had tried to seduce young Issei into sleeping with her. She even went as far as promising to leave her husband in order to be with him, but he refused because he just simply was not interested in her. Then one day there was a village beauty that had caught his eye and began to fall in love with the woman, and she too began to fall for him. But when the lord's wife found out about it, stricken with jealousy and decided to punish Issei for breaking her heart as such, she framed Issei for raping her. He tried to plead for his innocence, but no one would listen to him. Even the woman who he had fallen in love with did not believe him and ousted him as a scrounge and a liar. Left with no choice, he had to leave both his country and family behind and become a Ronin. When I was told of his story, I said he could stay here and live with me. Smiles happily. Then one thing led to another, and I got pregnant and had a child of my own. Azazel. Serious. That child who later became the legendary Witch of Time. Michiel. Shocked. The Witch of Time is your daughter, why haven't you said anything? Lucricia. Looks at the ceiling. Because my daughter wished that she didn't want any connection with me. Azazel. Confused. She didn't want any connection with you? Lucricia. Serious. Yes, because you see, my daughter hated my guts, the same with my grandson. Michiel. Curious. Can you tell us why? Lucricia. Serious. Well, for my daughter it was because I didn't show any care of grief for when Issei passed away. I tried to tell her that for beings like us who will live for almost all of eternity, it was pointless to grieve for over one loved one. As you can guess, she did not take it well and left home when she was just 16 years old. I haven't heard a word from her since then, that is until my grandson showed up at my door about 2 weeks after she was murdered. Azazel. Serious. Yes, I remember your grandson telling me that part on how she was murdered by Mundus's forces when he was just a child. Michiel. Curious. But why would Mundus send his forces after her? Surely she wasn't that much of a threat to him. Lucricia. Serious. She was not the threat that Mundus was after, it was her child that was the threat because he was the son of the legendary Dark Knight, Sparda. This completely shocked the Archangel since he did not believe that the legendary Dark Knight actually had a child, and with a human no less. The blonde-haired man looked over to Azazel to see his reaction, only to see that he had no reaction whatsoever, telling that he already knew that Sparda had a son. Michiel. Eyes narrowed. Azazel, you knew that Sparda had a child. Azazel. Serious. Only recently, so don't get your halos in a twist. Michiel. Serious. So that would mean that the person who defeated Mundus a year ago was actually Sparda's son, and the demons running amok must be searching for him, for revenge of their king possibly. Lucricia. Serious. Doubtful, since primordial demons hold no real loyalty to anyone, they are the type that believe that might makes right. So it could mean that someone has taken up Mundus's throne in the realm of Inferno, and that person is calling all the shots. Closes her eyes while thinking. Which would explain the theory I had about Mundus's release a decade back. Azazel. Raises an eyebrow in curiosity. How so? Lucricia. Serious. Well, you see, the seal that Sparda used to trap Mundus 2000 years ago was never going to last forever, and he knew that. But the thing is that the seal should have held up for at least another half a century or so. So I began to wonder how Mundus was able to escape earlier than expected, which led to one conclusion. Michiel. Thinking. Someone must have sped up the process on the other side, but who would want to release such a monster? Lucricia. Serious. If I had to guess, someone who wanted Mundus out of the picture for good, but they couldn't do it themselves, since Mundus was no doubt too strong for them to handle. Azazel. Serious. So they had someone with the potential like Sparda's son that could kill him and open up essentially a power vacuum for the seat on the throne, but the question is who? Michiel. Serious. Whoever it is, this individual must be extremely powerful in order to break the seal to set Mundus free. Azazel. Serious. No doubt it is someone who is no doubt above a chief god class or even maybe a transcendent class being, since it would take that kind of power to break the seal that Sparda placed. Michiel. Serious. Either way, it is now clear that your grandson is not only the epicenter of this great storm we are dealing with, but he also could be the one that could help stop it. So please, can you tell us who your grandson is and where we can find him, so we can request his aid? Lucricia. Sighs. Serious. From what I've heard, he now goes by the name Issei Hyoudou Sparda. He is this generation's security, but both of you know him better as the Dark Crimson Avenger. Upon hearing that last part, all three men became pale as a cold shiver went down their spine and began to sweat a little. The reason for that is because they knew the power and reputation that person held. Everywhere he went, death and destruction followed suit like a loyal dog. It did not matter who you were, whether human, demon, angel, dragon, or even a god, guilty or innocent. If you were in his way, he would slice you down with no hesitation. Many troops sent by the biblical factions have been either utterly annihilated or severely injured by the Dark Crimson Avenger, but no one knew who he was or where he came from. All they knew was that he appeared out of nowhere, causing havoc throughout the different realms for almost 3 years, until he mysteriously vanished without a trace. But when he vanished, someone else almost seemingly took his place and wreaked havoc for another month before also vanishing. But the one who was most shocked was Azazel, since he couldn't believe that the boy who he spoke to 2 weeks ago and got to know when he was just a typical high schooler was actually the Dark Crimson Avenger. If he had to compare the two of them, it was like night and day, but now knowing about this part of his past, he began to suspect just who is the real Issei. His thoughts were interrupted when he heard Lucricia speak once again, which shook everyone else out of their thoughts. Lucricia. Serious. But as for finding, I'm sorry to say that it will be simply impossible. If I know my grandson, and I do more so than he knows himself, that if he wants to stay hidden from even the eyes of the gods, then for sure he will make sure he will stay hidden. Tobio. Serious. Then what about his allies? Surely he must have had allies, they must have helped him, maybe they know where he could have gone. Lucricia. Giggles. My. You're smart. I'm so glad that you are more than just a handsome looking guy. Whoever they are must be a lucky woman, or maybe women to snag a man like you. Inspects Tobio. Now that I get a better look at you, you remind me a lot of my grandson. Tobio. Blushes nervously. I do. Lucricia. Smiles. Why yes, I can sense so many similarities between you two, especially when it comes to the ladies. I honestly believe you could have passed up as his older brother, and you probably would have definitely seen him as a little brother. Lucricia. Mind. Sweat drops. I would say definite improvement over the one who sees Issei as his true younger brother. Lucricia. Smirks. But when it comes to his allies, I would imagine they wouldn't either, or at the very least not tell you where he is. Michiel. Serious. But this is an emergency that could lead to the fate of our world, surely they even know the stakes involved. Lucricia. Sighs. Serious. Lord Michiel, I don't think you understand how loyal those in Issei's inner circle are. Michiel. Serious. How so? Lucricia. Serious. It all begins with his father. Despite being a demon, he has made many allies through the different factions throughout the world, due to his nobility and honor, on top of preventing this world from falling into ruin. Some of them he had made long-lasting trust with, to the point you could say that they have become his brother in arms. When he passed away, those same individuals made a pact so that they would look after his son, even to the point that they would put aside their differences for Issei's sake and well-being. Issei has grown to see most of them as extended members of his family, and they have grown to see him as a nephew, younger brother, or even a son to them, so believe me when I say that they will not tell you where to find him. Both Michiel and Azazel were indeed surprised by what the brown-haired woman said and how Sparda was more influential than they might have realized, to the point that they had different beings from different races or pantheons work together, even though it is over a single person. Lucricia. Serious. Now then, if you are all done with this discussion, I would like for all of you to leave my home. I'm pretty sure that all of you must be quick busy, given how you all have a massive demon outbreak to contain. Azazel. Serious. I see, very well then, we'll get out of your hair. Michiel. Serious. Thank you for answering our questions. But that said, the three men and the black dog left the house, but as they were leaving the gates of the manor, Azazel decided to ask Michiel about his thoughts about the conversation that they had with the brown-haired witch. Azazel. Serious. So, was she lying about anything that she said? Michiel. Serious. What do you mean? Azazel. Serious. Don't play dumb with me, Michiel. I could tell you were trying to see what was in her heart from the moment we started the conversation. Michiel. Serious. Well, to be honest, looking into people's hearts is more of Gabriel's specialty, but from what I could tell she was only lying about one thing. Azazel. Curious. What was that? Michiel. Serious. That she truly loved Juzo and that she was heartbroken when she mentioned how her daughter was murdered, on top of that she does not know where her grandson is at the moment. Azazel. Serious. I see, I guess I shouldn't be surprised at that part, since in the end she is still a mother and a grandmother deep down. But unfortunately that doesn't change the situation that we're in, and that no matter how you look at it, we are going to need Issei's help to stop this. Michiel. Serious. I can't help but agree, since if this person has truly ascended to Mundus's throne and is as powerful as we may think, then only Sparda's power can defeat it. Azazel. Serious. So. Are you thinking what I am thinking? Michiel. Serious. You are suggesting an alliance between Heaven and the Gregory in order to stop this demonic assault. Azazel. Serious, while shrugging his shoulders. I mean, what else can we do? I mean, right now we have only been dealing with lesser primordial demons, and they can go up against a high-class angel with no problem. But if the higher-ranking primordial demons start to show up, then we are looking at a serious pandemic at our hands. Michiel. Serious. That may be true, but what would happen if the devils were to find out about this little alliance of ours? Compared to both of our factions, they had us outmatched in fighting power due to them reincarnating different races, and most of them having been humans with sacred gears, due to their evil P system. If they were to find out about us working together, they might see this as a declaration of war to them, and make a preemptive attack. Azazel. Serious. Then maybe we should extend the invitation to them as well, since they are also dealing with the same problem as us. Michiel. Serious. Azazel. Sighs in annoyance. Serious. Look, Michiel, I know that we never got to see eye to eye on anything, even back when I was Heaven. But even you have to admit that you also have this feeling that this is going to become way too big for just one of our factions to handle. Plus, before this demonic outbreak even started, there were already forces conspiring against us, and that alone we cannot take down alone. Rolls his eyes in annoyance. I can't believe I'm about to say this, but, brother, we need to forego and bury the past and think about the future. Michiel. Serious. I want to agree with you, Azazel, but what you are suggesting is extremely difficult. Well, both of us would want to form an alliance to not only stop a common threat, the rest of our respective faction will not agree with the idea. There is far too much hatred and pride between factions that has lasted for over 10,000 years, it cannot be let go that easily. As the leader of Heaven, I need to think about their concerns before my own. Azazel. Serious. Michiel, I'm not saying it's going to be easy, hell, I know for damn sure that there are people on my side as well that are still not too fond of either Heaven or the Church. But I'm at least man enough to say that we need to forgive and forget what happened in the past and think about the future of our groups. Michiel. Serious. I will think about it. For now, I inform the other seraphs about this new information and put up a search for Issei, since I do fully agree with you that we will need his help to stop this attack. Goodbye for now, Azazel. With that said, Michiel activated a magic circle back to Heaven, and seeing no reason to stay here any longer, Azazel summoned a magic circle for both him and Tobio, as well as the black dog, and transported back to Gregory. Back inside the manor. As Lucricia felt the presence of the four individuals leave her home, she let out a sigh before letting a confident smirk. Lucricia. Smirks. Well, it seems that I made my grandson become the center of a worldwide manhunt, so did you hear what you needed to hear? Coming from the shadows of the room next door was Great Red in his human form, who was there listening in on the conversation between the witch and the two angels and sacred gear user. Great Red. Serious. Yes, Azazel did exactly what Issei predicted, and now he has both his and Michiel's faction on a wild goose chase. Snorts. HMPH. Honestly, what an idiot. Lucricia. Smiles. Don't be too hard on them, it's hard to be a leader of an entire race, and dealing with this demonic assault must be draining both physically and mentally. Great Red. Eyes narrowed. Still doesn't excuse them, essentially forcing a child to do their dirty work. Lucricia. Serious. I can't help but agree with you on that, it's honestly no wonder why Sparda never bothered to help them out in the past. Since when you think about it, they are nothing more but a bunch of whiny children begging mommy and daddy for help when things get just a little bit too hard. Great Red. Serious. My thoughts exactly. Lucricia. Smiles. Well, in any case, if this goes exactly as I think Issei most likely planned it, then it should force the biblical factions to set aside their petty differences and come together and actually take care of things themselves. Great Red. Serious. Yes, but he didn't plan for this massive demonic assault around the world. Lucricia. Curious. Have you told me about it? Great Red. Serious. Yes, and he said he is just going to let the factions take care of it, since in his eyes it's not that bad, plus he thinks it would give them some motivation to essentially suck it up and band together to get stronger. Lucricia. Smirks. HMPH. He would say that, honestly, and he says we are nothing alike. Curious. By the way. How is he doing? Great Red. Serious. He's doing fine right now, he's currently in a different universe trying to train up to get his original strength back, as well as try to live the normal life that he always wanted. Lucricia. Smiles sadly. I see. That is good to hear, I'm glad to know that he is doing alright despite everything that has happened to him. Though I can't help but be a bit saddened that he was even willing to go to a whole different universe just to get away from me. Great Red. Serious. You know that he doesn't entirely hate you anymore, he is even considering making amends with you. Lucricia. Smiles sadly. HMPH. Just like Juzo, always having a kind and forgiving heart. Even when he was betrayed by everyone in his homeland, he still held no anger or vengeance towards them, he just wished he could have done better. But even if Issei does forgive me, it does not change what I did to him, since I did manipulate him into becoming an avenger, even if it meant he would despise me for all of eternity. I guess just like how I was a crappy mother, I was even a shittier grandmother. Great Red. Serious. But now he understands why you did it, even though it was still wrong. You knew that Issei had the potential and motivation to end Mundus once for all. Since this was started by a Sparda, it needed to end with a Sparda. Lucricia. Saddened. I know. I can still remember the day that you brought him to my door. He was so broken and traumatized by the image of his mother being butchered by demons while she was still pregnant with her unborn child. I wanted to hold him in my arms to tell him that everything would be okay and I was here for him. Eyes closed. But that would be a lie. I knew that from the moment I saw his eyes. There was so much anger and rage inside him, but he had no way to release it, so I decided to play the role as the evil witch so that I could guide his rage towards Mundus and taught him what I could about magic, as well as forcefully unlocked his hidden potential so that he gained the power he needed in order to defeat Mundus. Sheds a single tear. Honestly, what kind of grandparent would send their only grandchild into the jaws of death at such a young age? Great Red. Serious. I have never had any children before, let alone getting married, but from what I could tell from the dreams of every living being, I can definitely say that there is no such thing as a perfect parent. It doesn't matter if you're a human or even a god, no one is perfect and we all have our flaws, but it is what we do with those flaws that makes the difference between us and the monsters that we believe to be true. Lucricia. Serious. I suppose that is true, but there is one undeniable fact about our world, and that fate is always cruel even for those who do not deserve it. Great Red. Serious. Agreed. Lucricia. Serious. So are you also going to tell Issei about my theory about that there must be someone that has taken Mundus's throne? Great Red. Serious. For now, no, as I stated earlier, the situation hasn't become that bad to the point Issei needs to intervene, and besides, not only does deserve some rest, but he's also deciding whether or not to intervene with the main problem going on in the universe that he is staying in. Lucricia. Smiles softly. HMPH. I see, so matter where he goes, trouble always seems to follow him around like a lost puppy. Well, in either case, even if he doesn't think it is his problem, I'm sure he will give the residents of that universe a helping hand one way or another. Great Red. Serious. I would imagine so, even though he does not want to admit he is more like his father than what he lets on. Lucricia. Serious. That is an understatement. Well, I imagine you need to return to the dimensional gap, since being out of it for too long will alert office and will try to take it from you. Great Red. Serious. HMPH. Goodbye, Scholar of the Gods. With that, Great Red opened up a small dimensional rift back into the dimensional gap, leaving the brown-haired woman alone. After taking a deep breath, Lucricia began to think on what to do until her grandson returned from his little vacation. Lucricia. Smiles. Things are going to get busy and hectic for a while until Issei comes back. I wonder what I should do for the time being. I think I'll go visit Irina again and see how she is doing. I could only imagine her reaction when the church officials tell her that her childhood friend and love interest was secretly not only half demon who saved the world, but it is also the center of a massive demon hunt. Foo. My goodness, who could have believed my luck that I would randomly meet the person who Issei considered his first friend to become a warrior of the church and become a prominent student of mine. I do wonder how Issei will react when he finds out that his childhood friend was actually a girl this entire time. Sighs while sweat dropping. I swear my biggest regret was probably not teaching that boy about girls, since I don't think Eva ever got the chance to have that talk with him. But that said, Lucricia summoned a magic circle in order to change her clothes, before summoning another one that would take her to England where Irina's mother owned a restaurant. Lucricia smiles. Now then. Time to check up on my future granddaughter. In the other universe. 14 months later. The bit-off bay of Tokyo, Japan was a large artificial island that was named Honnoji City. The city itself is governed by the board of directors of Honnouji Academy, which is an elite school located at the top of the island. At the entrance of this island stood a 17-year-old girl of medium height. She has blue-black hair of medium length, with a single left-swept red highlight on her bangs, as well as blue eyes, which have peculiar gear-like pupils with 8 grooves around the edges. Her outfit consisted of a white collared shirt with a red bow tie, which is worn under a black and white varsity jacket with rolled-up sleeves, as well as a black skirt and white sneakers. Serious. Finally, I'm here, Honnouji Academy. No doubt this is where I will get the answers I'm looking for. As the black-haired girl said those words, she made her way through the slum area of Honnoji town. She stopped by a food market in which she bought herself a lemon to snack on. As she walked through the streets, she accidentally bumped into a short boy with brown eyes and brown hair tied into a ponytail. He was wearing a black shirt that slopes off of one shoulder, a pair of cut-off shorts, and a pair of white sunglasses. But when the brown-haired boy got to the corner of the alley where bumped into the black-haired girl, he had a deviant smirk as he began to check his pocket. Smirk. Haha, easy as pie. That chick is way too defenseless and I got a wallet. As soon as the brown-haired took out what was in his pocket, he became shocked and confused as what he took out was not a wallet but the lemon she was eating. Shocked. Huh. A lemon, I was sure I stole her wallet. Smirks. Stealing half-eaten lemons from people, HMPH. Nice manners, kid. Shocked. Huh. Above the brown-haired boy stood the black-haired girl who had a confident smirk on her face. Smirks. Honestly, kid, are you that desperate to swap spit with chicks? Annoyed. Don't get cute with bitch, I get way more action than you. Smirks. Good, so you could die without any regrets. Smirks arrogantly. Haha, that's my line. I'm lighting speed, Madoru, come on out guys. As soon as Madoru said those words, a group of kids around his age emerged wielding weapons that you expect a typical delinquent gang wield. Madoru smirks arrogantly. Do you even know where you are? This neighborhood is our turf Hana town, your Afikuro lane, so if you want to leave her in one piece, leave your wallet and walk away. Smirks. You gotta be kidding me, you do know this whole street punk looking thing is not cut out for you? I mean, your group is the goofiest bunch ever. But anyway, if you guys want to pick a fight, then by all means let's go at it. Madoru smirks arrogantly. Get her. But Madoru's face, filled with arrogance, quickly turned to shock and horror as his entire crew was quickly taken down by the black-haired girl with her guitar case. Upon seeing her strength and fighting capabilities, both Madoru and his crew quickly kneeled down in front of the girl to apologize for their actions. Madoru's crew. Nervous. We're sorry. Madoru smiles nervously. We're a passive-aggressive gang, we didn't mean anything, I swear. Smirks. I'm not gonna fight anyone who can't fight back, I'll let it slide this time. As the black-haired girl was just leaving, she was startled when she heard that Madoru got flinged a few feet by a school bag. Serious. Hold it. It was then in a flash Madoru was being handled by a young teenage girl with brown eyes and brown hair that is styled in a bowl cut. She is often seen wearing the standard Honnouji Academy no-star uniform. A white short-sleeved shirt with a blue neckerchief, a blue miniskirt, and a pair of white socks and light brown loafers. Annoyed. Mugging people at the crack of dawn again, huh? Madoru. Shocked. Oh crap, it's my one-san. Annoyed. How many times do I have to tell you to stop shaking people down and get your butt to school? Do you have a death wish or something? Madoru. In pain. I'm going. Of course, as soon as the brown-haired girl let go of his little brother, the boy ran off with his crew, saying that he didn't need institutionalized learning and order, and that he would get by through stealing and gambling. This of course made Madoru's older sister sigh in disappointment, knowing that her little brother will never change, no matter how much her family tried. The brown-haired girl was about to apologize for her brother's behavior until she realized the time and began towards the moving cart that was filled with other students. The black-haired couldn't help but just stand there in bewilderment at what just occurred in front of her eyes. Confused. What hell, these people are crazy. Shaking her head of what just happened, the black-haired girl made her way up the hill towards the academy. After a long while she made it to the school's entrance, but what she saw surprised in which she saw a naked and beaten boy that was no doubt the same grade as her being hung up as a warning sign for intruders with a note hanging around his neck. Smirks. This is a naked pig who dared to defy Honnouji Academy, justice has been served. HMPH. The town is dangerous, and it seems that the school is even worse. Interesting. Something tells me that I'm going to find some answers here. Vroom. Surprised. Huh. Pulling up to the school entrance was a Mercedes-Benz C63 SAMG Performance F1 Edition 2023. Even though the black-haired girl did not know what car it was or what year it was, she knew right off the bat that it was indeed a luxury car that only the rich people could afford. Out from the car was a young man that was around the black-haired girl's age with shoulder-length messy white hair tied in a ponytail. He has deep blood-red eyes. He wore a red blazer with white trim and wore a styled pinstriped white shirt underneath. He wore black khaki pants with brown laced-up boots worn over them. He wore black fingerless gloves. Despite the clothing, the girl knew that the boy had an impressive build, not so much he would be considered a bodybuilder, but more in the line if he was a MMA fighter, and given he wore fingerless gloves, she was almost inclined to believe so. It was then another person came out from the passenger door, in which was a blonde-haired young girl of short but curvy stature with pale white skin and green eyes. Her hair was tied up in a complex bun. She wore a standard dark navy blue school sailor uniform. When the two individuals approached the entrance and saw the naked boy, the blonde-haired girl widened her eyes in shock as saw the state of the naked boy. Shocked. Ice kun, just what kind of school is this? Issei. Serious. One that crazy ass forms of punishment. Sweat drops while smiling weakly. Geez. And here I thought our school was a bit extreme on punishment. I swear if this kid got punished for peeping, I have to say I got off easy. Concern. Well, we just can't leave him like this. Issei. Smiles weakly. Yeah, I think the poor guy has been there long enough. Tosses keys. Asia, in the trunk there should be a spare blanket, he could use it to cover himself. Asia. Nods. Right. As the blonde-haired girl, now named Asia, made her way to the back of the car, the boy named Ice began to reach into his back pocket. To the black-haired girl's shock, he took out two kunai and threw them at great speed towards the ropes that were holding the naked boy. As the boy was falling to the ground, Issei leaped into the air and grabbed him, thus landing on the ground gracefully afterwards. He then gently placed the boy lying next to the entrance of the school as he checked to see if he was breathing. Upon seeing that the boy was breathing, Issei let out a sigh of relief, knowing that he didn't have to call the morgue to pick up a dead body. It was then Asia returned with a blanket in tow and gently covered the boy. Issei. Serious. Well, that should do it. Asia. Concern. Do you think he'll be alright? Issei. Serious. I would like to think so, but who knows, we don't know how this school works yet, and something tells me that we are about to find out the hard way. Asia. Sighs in exasperation. It's going to be a tough crazy year, isn't it? Issei. Smiles weakly. Yeah, it would be safe to assume so, but we'll be alright, we've dealt with crazier stuff before, right? Asia. Nods. Right. Issei. Smiles. Well, let's go, we still need to stop by the faculty office in order to get our schedule before heading to class. Asia. Smiles happily while locking on Issei's arm. Always right behind you. Issei. Smiles. Let's go then. As the two individuals began to make their way through the entrance of the academy, Issei looked back at the black-haired girl who just stood there in both shock and amazement at what he just did. Upon seeing her reaction, the white-haired boy put on a soft smile while waving her off. Issei. Smiled softly. See you around. Shocked. Just what kind of school is this? Faculty room. Right now, the black-haired girl was waiting outside of the faculty waiting for her new schedule. Her mind couldn't help but go back to the white-haired boy named Ice. His white hair, red eyes, and his presence that she could describe as dark but also had a hint of mysterious. The black-haired girl wondered if he just dyed his hair and put on contact lenses in order to get attention, since it was normal for kids' age to try out different looks, or if it was some kind of health deficiency like albinism. But it would not explain the feeling that she got off him. Either way, whether or not she met him again would not bother her at all, since she was not here to make friends or anything like that. All she cared about was getting the answers she needed, and she would do practically anything to get those answers. Slam. Curious. Surprised. Huh. Issei. Serious. Thank you for everything, sensei. Bose. Please take care of us. Asia. Bose while smiling. Yes, thank you so much. Issei. Smiles. Wow, look at this, Asia, it seems that we're both in the same classes just like last year. Asia. Smiles while nodding. Yes, I'm so happy to always be together with you, Issei-san. Issei. Smiles. HMPH. Looks over. Oh hey, it's you, you're that girl from the entrance, right? Surprised. Yeah. So you two are transfer students too? Issei. Smiles. Yes we are, we're both third years. Shocked. Wait, both of you are third years and you decided to transfer school so late in the year, why? Asia. Sweat drops with eyes half open while pointed Issei. Well, this lovable guy here was starting to think that the school we were going to was way too boring, so when he heard how exciting this school was he decided to transfer. Since I can't leave him out of my sight, I decided to follow him so that he wouldn't get into more trouble than usual. Issei. Sweat drops while deadpanning. Geez, Asia, don't you think that was a bit of a low blow for someone you call your boyfriend? I mean, I can't help it, given who I am, will I always be looking for excitement and a good fight? Asia. Kisses Issei on the cheek. Putting her hand on his cheek while smiling. Well, you did always tell me to be honest with you as you would with me. It's like you always say the truth hurts but. Issei. Smiles softly. HMPH. But you have to learn to take the pain and turn it into your strength. Sweat drops. Great, now I feel like I'm some sort of third wheel. Smiles weakly. I see. Issei. Smiles weakly while scratching the back of his head. Well, in any case. My name is Sparda, Issei, and the girl next to me is my girlfriend Argento, Asia. Asia. Smiles while bowing. It's a pleasure to meet you. Nervous. Oh, my name is Madoi, Ryuko, and I'm a second-year transfer, so I guess that makes you both my senpais. Issei. Smiles. Well, in that case it's good to meet you, Ryuko. Ryuko. Nervous. Right. Curious. Issei senpai, can I ask you something? Issei. Curious. What is it? Ryuko. Curious. It's about your hair and eyes, did you dye or something, or do you have a deficiency like albinism? Issei. Blinks in confusion. Chuckles. He. Well, you're definitely not the first person who had asked me that. I still remember last year how a bunch of students kept on asking that same question. Asia. Sweat drops. Most of them were girls. Issei. Smiles. But to answer your question, Ryuko, no, I did not dye my hair or get contact lenses. My eyes were born this color. Plays with his hair. But hair used to be mostly a dark brown color, but over time it just naturally became naturally white, which runs on my Oda-san side of the family. Ryuko. Amazed. Oh, I see, that is interesting. Issei. Smiles. HMPH. Well, in that case you should get going and get your schedule, don't want to be late on your first day. Ryuko. Nods. Right. Asia. Smiles while waving. See you around, Ryuko-chan. As the two individuals left Ryuko behind, both of their expressions turned serious. They entered the nurse's office, since they thankfully had a free period to start their day, which gave them ample time to survey the grounds. When they entered the nurse's office, they were greeted by a familiar brown-haired woman, who upon seeing Issei's face, smiled joyfully as she leaped into his arms. Ishtar. Smiles happily. Oh, Ice-kun, you've finally come. Issei. Paranoid. Ishtar, calm yourself, did you forget we're not only in foreign territory, but also a school? Ishtar. Smirks. Oh, relax, I placed all kinds of security spells in this office about over a month ago. We can have all kinds of fun in here, and no one will know, besides us of course. Issei. Blushes. As tempting as that sounds, we have to remember that we're on a mission here. Ishtar. Pouts. HMPH. Honestly, despite us being lovers, you sometimes still walk around with a stick up your ass, you know that. Issei. Serious. There is a time and a place for that, but right now is not the time. Ishtar. Sighs. Smirks. Sorry, I couldn't help it. I mean, how hard it was working here for over a month and having a bunch of men gawking at your lustful eyes despite already telling them that you're taken is such a pain. Annoyed. I seriously had a whole week where a bunch of male students and teachers came in here causing injury to themselves just to try to confess their love for me. Asia. Smiles sadly. We're sorry you had to endure that, Ishtar-san, but you did well for the time being. Issei. Smiles sadly. She's right, I know it might have not been easy for you to disguise yourself as a nurse again in order to infiltrate this place, but now we're here and I promise to be here for you now. Cracks his knuckles. If any of those guys tries to put the moves on you again, then you know who to call, because it will be a very cold day in hell before I let anyone touch one of my mates and get away with it. Ishtar. Giggles. Fufufu. Smiles softly. Honestly, you just give me more and more reasons to love you, Ice. Smirks. But you don't have to worry about me. I can handle myself, don't forget I am still a goddess of war, you know. Asia. Smiles softly. She's right, the same with me since I'm not entirely the same shy and timid girl you met 1 year ago, since I too can handle myself in a fight. Issei smiles. I know, I guess I can't help it, as both a man and a dragon, it is in my nature to protect those who I considered my most precious treasure. You two along with Zest are my most precious treasures, and I just can't simply refuse to let anything happen to any of you. Ishtar smiles. We know Ice-kun and that if we're ever in trouble you'll come save us, but please don't let yourself believe that you have to do everything on your own. Asia smiles. Just like how you'll come to save us when we're in trouble, we will always try to save when you are in trouble. We will be the pillars of support in order to help you carry the burden you have on your shoulders. Issei smiles fondly. I know, all of you have told me that many times, but it seems that my thick-headed skull can't seem to get the message, but I'm still trying. Asia smiles. That's all you can do. Ishtar smiles. So with all that out of the way, I'm guessing from the expressions I saw on your faces when you both came in meant that you've already met Maboy, Ryuko. Issei serious. Yes, we did. Asia concern. Are you sure that it was wise to discreetly tip her off that she would get the answers she wants here? Issei serious. She would have ended up coming here on her anyway, she may act like a delinquent, but she's not an idiot, all we did was just nudged her closer into the right direction, and a bit quicker is all. Ishtar curious. My question is, why are you fulfilling Issen's final request by helping his daughters anyway? You never really gave us a direct answer, and it's not really like you to intervene in something that doesn't directly involve you. Asia curious. She does have a point, even though the life fibers are a bit dangerous, but to beings like us, they're more like annoying parasites than anything else. Issei thinking. Sits down on a bed. To be brutally honest, I don't even know why I'm even doing it myself. A part of me wants to say it's out of boredom or just fulfilling some old man's dying wish, but that would be a lie. Eyes closed. This isn't our world, and as such the problems that this world has should not be our concern in the slightest, but I guess. Eyes open. I guess I'm just curious on the path that both Ryuko and Satsuki will take. Ishtar, Asia curious with a head tilt. The path they will take. Issei serious. Both of them are avengers, both of them lost someone precious to them. While one's vengeance is more righteous while the other is more petty, the end result of where their vengeance leads is still the same. I just want to see the route they take in order to get to the end, and if helping them to be more prepared for their final battle will help fulfill my curiosity, then so be it. Asia saddened. You want to see the path you could have taken if you were in their position. Issei serious. Maybe, it's quite possible that it might be the case. Even though I can never turn back the clock on what happened to me, a part of me can't be curious how others in my positions would have gone on about it. Ishtar saddened. It sounds to me that you're more concerned for them than anything, you're afraid that they might go down that same dark path you went on when you went after Mundus. Issei saddened. You know, like everyone else in my inner circle, what vengeance has done to me, it is like an addictive venomous drug that you can't help but get hooked on. While yes, the motivation and desire to kill the source of one's vengeance does give you a great amount of strength and power. But in the end it will end up destroying you and leave you with an empty hole in both your heart and soul that is only filled with only sadness and regret. Sheds a single tear. I know I can't save everyone. Chuckles. For damn sure I am no hero, no matter what everyone says, since I was only doing it for myself. I didn't care if the universe got torn to shreds in the process. But if I can somehow save 1 or 2 people from that kind of fate, to save them from diving into that pit, that eternal abyss, then maybe I can feel some sort of redemption. Despite it being over a year, Issei still had to deal with the trauma of being the Crimson Avenger and being the other person that he wished he could truly forget being. He will still have nightmares of the innocent people he killed in his path of vengeance, cursing him for killing them for such a petty and selfish revenge. Then the nightmares that he had when he was personally tortured by Mundus when he was in Inferno, the mental and physical pain that he went through during his time there was etched into him to the point he would sometimes have phantom pains of what was done to him, as if it just happened for the very first time. Everyone close to him, especially Ddraig, have tried their best to counsel him through the trauma, but if he was being honest, it didn't help much, since a part of him believed that these nightmares and phantom attacks are trying to tell him something. Especially when he has nightmares of when he was the person he did not even want to speak his name, when he was a servant of Mundus. It was then the white-haired boy felt 2 warm sensations, to which he saw both Asia and Ishtar hugging him from both sides, having concerned looks on their faces. Ishtar. Concern. We know that this year hasn't been entirely easy for you Ice, but just remember that no matter what happens we're always here for you. Asia. Concern. That's right, we'll be with you until the end. Issei smiles sadly. Thank you both, but this battle that I'm having right now, something tells me I need to fight it alone. Ishtar Asia. Concern. Issei. Sighs. Serious. Well, in any case, now that we're finally here, we can begin this job that I have essentially given us. For now we will use the nurse's office as our base here in Honnouji Academy, but we have to be discreet on how we come in or out. Ishtar. Serious. That is correct, since the barrier spells that Zest and I placed can prevent us people spying or overhearing us, but as for the rest of the school, it could be considered tricky. Issei. Nods. Yes, especially since Itsuki has genius super hacker Hoka Inuyuda as head of her surveillance team. That is not all, the Elite Four as a whole are very perspective, and that if they notice something up, they will eventually put 2 and 2 together. Asia. Serious. Hence why you had both Ishtar and Zest have live in separate floors in the apartment complex that we live in. Issei. Serious. Yes, but despite that, it will not be enough to fool them into thinking we're not working together. I mean, hell, even I can tell that they already know that Akira Mikasugi is a spy for Nudist Beach, but they are just pretending. Asia. Serious. So we need to keep our interactions with one another to absolutely minimal for as long as possible. Issei. Serious. Yeah, but given my luck, my gut tells me it won't be as long as I would want it to be. Asia. Curious. Do you think we'll have to fight them? Issei. Shrugs shoulders. I wouldn't talk about them too much. I mean, a 3-star Goku uniform can only make the Elite Four on par with a high-class devil, while a Kamui can't put someone on par with a ultimate-class devil. Since all of us besides you and your angel summon who can go up against god-class beings, we shouldn't have to worry so much about taking them on, but I would rather not fight them at all if possible. Asia. Nods. Right. Mopes. Although, you didn't have to point out that I'm the weakest in our group. I mean, even my angel is stronger than me, and I can't feel I'm a disappointment as a master. Ishtar. Sweat drops. Which is kind of a good idea that we left her at home, since her personality and tendency to draw attention could make infiltrating this school complicated. Issei. Sweat drops. I can't help but agree, but we can't blame her since not only did she come back from the dead 6 months ago, but also the fact that she doesn't have a good grasp on human emotions is a great challenge for her. Smiles. HMPH. But besides that, don't feel too bad, Asia, godlike power doesn't grow overnight, you know. Asia. Pouts. Yeah, but you kind of did. Issei. Serious. Well, that is because I have been training with god-class beings since I was 9 years old, but even back then it wasn't easy for me to go toe-to-toe with some of my uncle and older sibling figures. Hell, even now I think I would have trouble dealing with them. Just because I am my father's son doesn't mean I inherited his immense strength and power right off the bat. Hell, despite being born a demon, I still sucked at using demonic power. Plus, not only you are still getting used to becoming a warrior, but also your new body as well. Either way, you should be proud, since in just a year I can confidently say you can go up against ultimate class devils no problem. You will get stronger, Asia, I promise you that. You just have to be patient. Asia. Smiles softly. Okay. Issei. Serious. Now then, we have time before we have to get our first class of the day, so I say we walk around campus and try to get ourselves a lay of the land. Asia. Nods. Right. Issei. Smiles while waving off. We'll try to stop by again today before the school day is over, but if it is not, we'll see you at home. Ishtar. Smiles while waving off. See you later, beloved. With that said, the two teens left the nurse's office in order to scope around the area of where they would be spending their last year in high school. Before they left, Issei took a quick peek out the window and noticed the clouds gathering. Issei. Mind. Serious. Looks like it's going to rain soon. With Ryuko. Ryuko had just finished her first class for the day and was currently on break. She was walking around the halls of the school, hoping to find out some information on who killed her father. The black-haired girl even contemplated asking Issei or Asia if they might know anything. Ryuko. Mind. Thinking. I could try asking them. They seem like the kind of people that seem to have a lot of connections. Maybe they might have heard something about my father's death. But before Ryuko could think about her next move, her thoughts were interrupted when she heard someone screaming her name. Smiles happily. Oh, Ryuko. When she turned to the source of the voice, she saw the same brown-haired girl she saw earlier, who turned out to be a classmate of hers named Meiko Mankinshoku. It was then Ryuko casually slid to the side, dodging Meiko's grasps. Now Ryuko will admit that Meiko seemed like a nice person, and all but the fact that seemed a little off was definitely a learning curve. But also the fact she didn't come to this school to make friends and socialize was something that was not on her to-do list. But nevertheless, Ryuko kept on walking nonchalantly to the courtyard, with Meiko surely following suit. When they both finally made it to the courtyard of the school, Meiko put on a pouty face as she asked Ryuko on why she dodged her. Meiko. Pouts. Ah. Why did you dodge me like that? Ryuko. Serious. Well, that's what you do when weirdos come flying at you. Mako. Pouts. I was just trying to give my bestie a hug. Ryuko. Confused. Your bestie. Mako. Smiles. Yeah, we're desk neighbors now, so we're totally besties. Oh, that reminds me of your guitar case. Do you play? Come on, play something. Sings. We're gonna run away. Ryuko. Slightly annoyed. Geez. Would you relax? Listen. I wanna know what the deal is with this place, like who is the big shot running this school. Mako. Smiles. Oh sure, it's Panics. Oh crap, look out Ryuko. Bo. As Mako repeatedly made Ryuko bow down her head in respect, the black-haired girl in question looked around curiously to see a whole bunch of students bowing down in a row leading down the entrance to the center of the academy. Coming down from the steps from the long line of students bowing down was a large, muscular young man who had a darker toned complexion and short blonde hair. His eyebrows are noticeably thick, and he wears a pair of small gold earrings in his enlarged earlobes, and was dressed in a 3-star Goku uniform. Upon seeing his stature as well as the way how he walked, Ryuko deduced that this man was no doubt one of the people that probably ran this school. Ryuko. Eyes half open. He looks like a big shot. Mako. Serious. Yeah, he's a 3-star. Ryuko. Eyes half open. 3 stars. Mako. Serious. MHM. That's Gamagrai, Ira, the disciplinary committee chairman and one of the elite 4 of the student council. He's super elite, 3 ranks above us no-star students. Ryuko. Curious. No star. It was then Mako quickly explained how the school works on that depending on a student's achievements and abilities. If recognized enough, the students will personally receive Goku uniforms that can give them practically superhuman abilities, and that the uniforms are handed out personally by the student council president, Satsuki Kirikin. After that quick, Ryuko figured out that the person that she needed to get answers from was the student council president. Speaking of the devil, as Ryuko looked towards the stairs once more, she saw another coming down. It was a tall and slim young woman. She has long thigh-length dark blue tinted hair that has inward diamond-shaped bangs hanging over her forehead, blue eyes, fairly thick eyebrows and a large bust. She wore a white uniform that looked similar to that of a commander of the military. After being confirmed by Mako that it was indeed Satsuki Kirikin, the black-haired girl boastfully stepped out of the crowd into Satsuki's path, shocking the surrounding students. Ryuko. Serious. Sorry to interrupt, but I heard that you're the queen bee at this school. If you are, I have a question for you. Male student. Enraged. How dare you? Male student 2. Enraged. Get her. It was then a bunch of students began to try to gang up on Ryuko, only to be instantly knocked on their asses by the black-haired girl's guitar case. In the distance watching this all go down was both Issei and Asia, who were a bit impressed by Ryuko's fighting capabilities. Issei. Whistles. Smirks. Not bad, instantly taking on 7 1-star users. I will have to admit, despite having no proper form of training, she did surprisingly well. Especially since a typical 1-star Goku uniform can match that of a low-class demon. Asia. Serious. Yes, but we have to remember that she's not entirely human in the first place, and no doubt those idiots gravely underestimated her. Issei. Smirks. Excellent observation. I see that your training is indeed showing, and you're right, you could say that she indeed got lucky. But either way, the result would have been no different, since thanks to her experience of constantly fighting off against delinquents, does give her a slight advantage over typical 1-star students here, and thanks to her life fiber physiology is just an added bonus, though it's still dormant. Asia. Smiles. HMPH. One could imagine if she were to be properly trained, and if she were to acquire her Kamui. Issei. Mind. Thinking. Maybe I might just do that. Back with Ryuko after taking down the grunt, she opened up her guitar case, in which she took a large crimson red scissor blade. Upon seeing the large blade, everyone was indeed astonished by the size and beauty of the blade, that even the ever stoic Satsuki Kirikin widened her eyes slightly upon seeing it. Mako. Shocked. That's the largest scissor blade ever. Ryuko. Serious. Yup, it's 1/2 of a giant pair of scissors, and I've been looking all over the place for the person who has the other half. What's wrong, President? You looked kind of surprised when you saw this blade, as if you had seen it before. Satsuki. Stoic. And what if I have? Ryuko. Angry. You have seen it. You have the other half of my scissors. It was then Ryuko leaped into action and tried to strike down Satsuki, but before she could even reach her, she was beaten down and was sent flying to a bunch of other students by a giant red boxing glove. The person who did it was a teenager of short stature with light green eyes, buzz-cut length hair, and a noticeably missing tooth. He wore a 2-star Goku uniform, which consists of a large pair of boxing gloves, a headguard, boxing robe, boxing shorts secured with championship belt, and high-top sneakers. Satsuki. Serious. Fukuroda. Takaharu. Smirks. Yes, it is Fukuroda, Takaharu, captain of the boxing club. Please Lady Satsuki allow me to take care of this insolent wench. Satsuki. Serious. She is all yours. Ryuko. Enraged. Out of my way. That was when Ryuko tried to continue her assault towards Satsuki, only to be blocked off Takaharu's glove when the black-haired girl felt that there was something off about it. Ryuko. Serious. Are those gloves made out of iron or something? Takaharu. Grins. Ha. Don't you know a Goku uniform when you see one? Ryuko. Annoyed. What are you talking about, you're not even wearing a uniform. Takaharu. Smirks. What are you talking about, a boxer's uniform consists of gloves, trunks, and other stuff. Plus Lady Satsuki gave me this athleticism 2-star Goku uniform, it infuses my boxing gloves with their power, making them stronger than even steel. Ryuko. Smirks. I don't get what you're saying, but if they are that hard then I can stop pulling my punches. But just as Ryuko was about to attack Takaharu, the bald-headed boy, annoyed by the insult, sent a volley punch from his left glove, attacking Ryuko from every direction, which followed with an uppercut from his right glove. When Ryuko landed, the sky started to pour down rain. Upon seeing Ryuko defeated so easily, Satsuki was unimpressed by the battle, since she thought given the weapon she wielded, then she would put up more of a fight. Satsuki. Serious. I was hoping you would be more amusing, but you have no idea how to wield your weapon. Fool. Ryuko. Stands up while glaring at Satsuki. Wait. You better tell me what you know or else. Takaharu. Annoyed. Why you little. Issei. Smirks. I think that's enough for now. Snap. Just as when Takaharu was about to perform a devastating punch to Ryuko, his fist suddenly stopped just about when it was going to hit black-haired girl's face. In fact, everything seemed to stop in its place, even the raindrops were completely still in the air, as if time itself had completely stopped. The only two people that were able to move were Issei and Asia, who were casually walking towards where Ryuko and Takaharu were standing. Asia. Smiles. You know I can never get tired whenever you do this, seeing the world like this is so beautiful. It makes every moment of our lives a majestic painting that one must treasure for all of eternity. Issei. Smiles. Just a perk of being the son of the Witch of Time, but not even I can deny how beautiful the world looks when it's like this. I sometimes wish I can make like for all of eternity. But something can only be truly beautiful only when it's gone and can only be with us in our memories. With that being said, Asia gently grabbed Ryuko and her scissor blade and moved her away from Takaharu's attack. Once that was done, the blonde-haired girl opened up the umbrella she had earlier and covered both herself and Ryuko, all while Issei was stretching his muscles and joints in front of Takaharu's punch. When the white-haired boy was ready, he placed his left hand in front of the massive red glove and was about to snap his fingers once more to restart time. Issei. Smirks. Alright then. Show time. Snap. Bam. Whoosh. Ryuko. Shocked. Huh. Looks around. What the? Asia. Smiles. Yumu. Now Ryuko-chan, you can't be walking in the rain or else you gonna catch a cold, and we can't have a beautiful girl like you get sick now. Ryuko. Shocked. Argento-senpai, how? When did you? Issei. Smiles weakly. Yeah. Is this really all you got? Ryuko. Shocked. Issei-senpai. Takaharu. Shocked. What the? Everyone was completely shocked by what just happened. Even Satsuki was indeed surprised that where Ryuko was, stood a white-haired boy who seemed to have appeared out of nowhere. But the most shocking part was that this mysterious white boy was holding back an attack from a 2-star Goku uniform without any effort. Satsuki, mind. Eyes narrowed. Who is this boy and where did he come from? Takaharu. Annoyed. How the hell did you stop my fist and how you were able to move the new girl out of the way so quickly? Issei. Smirks with one eye closed. HMPH. Puts finger to his lips. Sorry, but that's my little secret. Takaharu. Annoyed. Why you? Well, in that case, since you are willing to take the new girl's place, then you will take the beating for disrespecting Lady Satsuki. It was then Takaharu with his left hand sent out a volley of punches towards Issei. Ryuko wanted to scream out to tell the white-haired boy to get out of the way, but what next shocked everyone even further. With his spare hand with rapid speed and precision was able to block all of the incoming attacks heading his way. Everyone except for Asia and Satsuki had their jaws dropped to the floor upon seeing what just happened in front of their eyes. Even Satsuki couldn't help but look at what happened in front of her in complete shock. Takaharu. Shocked. Wow. What? Just who? Just what are you? Issei. Smiles weakly. My goodness, I'm sorry, I was going to let some of those punches hit me so that you could feel some sort of satisfaction of dealing damage to me, but my instincts just took over and I ended up blocking all of them. Takaharu. Shocked. Ooh. Ryuko. Shocked. Incredible. Satsuki, mind. Shocked. Just what kind of training did this boy do in order to combat a Goku uniform of all things? Issei. Smiles weakly. But I will admit if this is all the power that a Goku uniform can muster, then I'm sorry to say but… Crack. Everyone. Shocked. Huh. It was then Issei placed a bit pressure on the glove that he was holding onto, to which the glove that was said to be even stronger than steel, began to crack as if it was about to break. Upon seeing the state of his glove, Takeharu quickly leaped away from Issei. Everyone couldn't believe that something powered by life fibers could be damaged by something that was not powered by life fibers. It was then Issei looked over at Ryuko, who was still in shock about what she just saw. Issei. Smiles softly. Ryuko. Ryuko. Startled. Huh. Issei. Smiles softly. You should probably get out of here. I only stepped in because of how outmatched you are, so unfortunately for you, this will probably be the only time I step in for you. Ryuko. Shocked. What? Are you seriously going to give me that whole I only save people once routine? Issei. Smiles softly. You could say that, but I'm only saying it because I have faith that when you actually bounce back you won't entirely need me to take this joker down. Takeharu. Annoyed. Hey. Ryuko. Surprised. You have faith in me? Issei. Smiles softly. Why of course. It is a senpai's to have faith in their kohai's ability after all. Asia. Smiles softly. He's right, so you should go on ahead and heal and collect yourself. Once you know that we are sure that you will be able to take on any opponent in this school, so go on ahead Ryuko-chan. Ryuko. Nods. Right. With that said, Ryuko quickly ran off towards the entrance of the academy, in which she stole a moped from a food delivery driver, which did make both Issei and Asia sweat drop at the action. Issei. Sweat drops. Boy, she sure knows how to escape when she wants to. Asia. Sweat drops. I'll say. Issei. Smiles softly. Well, in any case the wheels are in motion, whatever she does is her call, and with that being said I think we should get going. Asia. Asia. Nods. Satsuki. Serious. Hold it. Issei. Curious. It was then over a dozen students surrounded by one-star students who surrounded both Issei and Asia ready to attack them. Satsuki. Serious. Did you really think that you could come in and protect the person who tried to challenge me and walk away scot-free? Issei. Smiles. Yeah, pretty much. Satsuki. Eyes narrowed. Such arrogance. Before I bring you in for defying Honnouji Academy's laws, tell me what is your name? It was then Issei's blood-crimson eyes stared into cold and piercing blue eyes, both of them staring at each other with great intensity, to which both parties couldn't help but mentally respect each other's strength and willpower. Issei did appreciate the immense pride, power, and resolve behind Satsuki's eyes, especially since they reminded her so much of Rias, who he once loved. While Satsuki couldn't help but admire the beauty and raw passion in Issei's eyes, the undying will to not submit to someone who he thinks is weaker than him. After a few moments of gauging themselves, Issei put on a confident smirk as heard lighting crackling through the skies. Crackle. Issei. Smirks. HMPH. Something tells me that you're going to find out fairly soon. Winks. See you around, Satsuki Kirikin. Crackle. With that sound, a large flash of lighting engulfed the sky, momentarily blinding everyone in the courtyard. But when the light resided, both Issei and Asia were nowhere to be found, shocking everyone on how two they surrounded were able to escape in a blink of an eye. But Satsuki maintained her composure and told everyone to go on with their day as normal, since she would see the white-haired boy very soon. While all this was happening, watching from one of the classrooms, a middle-aged man with blue messy hair, with a bent back and an unsteady gait. He witnessed everything that had happened and knew what he had to do with Ryuko, but when it came to the other two students who intervened, he was not sure of what to make of them. Sighs. Serious. Welp, things have just gotten a lot more complicated. Student Council Office. At the top of the tower of Honnouji Academy lies the office of the Student Council, who run everything, both the academy and town below them. Inside this luxurious room that no normal student council would have, Takeharu was on his knees repenting for dishonoring his value as a club president by letting Ryuko disrespect Satsuki, as well as not making an example out of Issei by repeatedly getting hit with shinai. Bam. Serious. You. Bam. Serious. Idiot. Takeharu. In pain. I'm sorry, sir. Ira. Furious. You let her insult Lady Satsuki, you let her escape, and you let that delinquent make a mockery out of you and Lady Satsuki. A mistake made by a member of a club that you run is your responsibility, Sanajayama, Yuzu. The one that Ira Gamagori was speaking to was a teenager with mid-length dark green hair and grey eyes. He wears a 3-star Goku uniform, specially made into a long white coat with a high collar. It has a built-in sword sheath at the back and 3 spikes on each shoulder. The coat is usually open at the front, which shows his cadet blue colored vest. He also wears matching white pants and shoes, and a belt with 3 metal spikes on the front. Yuzu. Annoyed. Yeah, I know, did you think I was beating on him for kicks here? Smirks. Besides, the disciplinary committee should have stepped in when that new girl insulted Lady Satsuki. As such, this is mostly your fault, Game Ori. Serious. I found some intel on the new girl. She had been starting fights in high schools in the eastern Kanto region, ruled by Honnouji Academy. Apparently they were personal spats, hence why we had never heard anything about her. The person who spoke was a teenager with a neat tealish hair color and green eyes. He wears a 3-star Goku uniform that has a collar neck suit, which, at the collar, opens whenever he talks. He also wears unique eyeglasses that are tinted blue. Satsuki. Serious. Such negligence, tell our branches to keep an eye out for her, Inumuda. Inumuda. Bow's head. At once, my lady. Satsuki. Serious. Just when I was going to acquire her scissor blade. Curious. Why did you want it, Lady Satsuki? Isn't your sword strong enough? The person who asked was a petite girl with pink hair. Her 3-star Goku uniform resembled that of a marching band member with a skull-marked hat. Satsuki. Serious. It is a weapon that is designed to combat Goku uniforms. Everyone. Surprised. Ira. Surprised. How does she have a weapon like that? Satsuki. Serious. What's her name? Inumuda. Serious. Madoi, Ryuko, my lady. Satsuki. Surprised. Madoi. Smirks. Interesting, and the white-haired boy that helped her. Inumuda. Serious. His name is Sparda Issei. Yuzu. Eyes widen and shocked. Inumuda. Serious. Though his full name is Issei Hyoudou Sparda, and the blonde-haired girl that was him is his girlfriend Asia Argento. They transferred to Kakisai Kaku High School last year, in which they both received remarkable marks on all their academic achievements, and from what I could gather, they were even considered a power couple by the majority of the students. But the tricky part was their records before transferring to that school. Satsuki. Serious. How so? Inumuda. Serious. Well, to put it simply, before their second year of high school. They didn't even exist. It was as if they just popped into existence by mere thought alone. Satsuki. Serious. I see. Well, in that case, we will have to pay them a personal visit in the near future about their past and why they are here. Do you know where they live? Inumuda. Serious. Yes, they live in an apartment complex just outside of Hano town. Ira. Shocked. What? How dare they not obey Honnouji Academy's rules by not living in the slums and rising up in the ranks like proper students? Yuzu. Serious. Hey Inumuda, can you tell me one more thing about this Issei character? Inumuda. Serious. What is it? Yuzu. Serious. Does have long shoulder-length messy hair and have eyes that are the color of blood. Inumuda. Blinks in surprise. Why yes, how did you know that? Yuzu. Serious. I see. Smirks. HMPH, will I be damned, I didn't he would actually come here of all places. Satsuki. Serious. Sanajayama, are you telling us that you know Issei? Yuzu. Serious. I do not know him on a personal level, my lady, but I have met him before. Smirks. In fact, I even offered him to join us in Honnouji Academy when we met. Ira. Annoyed. How dare you, Sanajayama. You dare to bring someone that Lady Satsuki did not approve of into our group. Satsuki. Serious. Calm yourself, Gamagori. Now tell us how you met Issei. Yuzu. Serious. Yes, my lady. It was last year, as you know, the school that Issei went to wanted to break free from Honnouji Academy's rule, and as they wanted to settle it with a kendo match. Satsuki. Serious. Yes, I remember that, and from what I recall we won that match and kept those pigs in line and prevented them from causing such a fuss ever again. What of it? Yuzu. Serious. Well, among the members of the opposing team was Issei, but he was neither a participant or their captain, he was more like a coach for them. But with my eyes I could tell right off the bat that he was beyond leagues above those in his group. So when the match I confronted him and asked him why he didn't participate, since he would have had a slight chance of winning if he had joined in. But all he said was that there was no honor in fighting those weaker than him and only came as moral support for his group since they looked up to him for guidance. Satsuki, mind. Smirks. I see. Just what I thought, he does have the eyes of a warrior, he truly is a soldier just like part of his namesake. Curious. But where does the Sparda part come into play? Yuzu. Smirks. Of course, wanting to test my skill, I asked him to have a friendly duel with me. Grim. But I was naive. Satsuki. Curious. How so? Yuzu. Grim. The moment we stepped into that ring I instantly saw the gap between our skills. It was as if I was going down a deep oceanic trench, and no matter how far I went, the bottom was nowhere in sight. Even with my eyes, every action that I tried to make would end up with me losing. It was as if I was being pitted against a demon. Eventually he essentially grew tired and said to pick it up another time, saying that I wasn't ready to go up against someone like him yet, but still had room to grow, and that when I finally utilized my full potential, then we would truly have a battle that we would be both proud of. That was when I offered to come to Honnouji Academy since I thought someone with his skills could be of benefit to us, my lady. Satsuki. Serious. I see. Ira. Serious. Now the main question was, why didn't you say anything to us afterwards? Yuzu. Serious. It's because of what he said after I made him the offer. Inumuda. Curious. What did he say? Yuzu. Eyes narrowed. He said that he had no interest in our plans for the schools in Japan. Ira. Serious. That is ominous to say the least. Lady Satsuki, do you think that it's possible that he somehow knows? Satsuki. Serious. It's no secret that we're trying to conquer every school in Japan, but as for the purpose, why, I hardly doubt he knows anything. Ira. Serious. Then what would you have us do, my lady? Satsuki. Serious. First I want to see what Ryuko will do next, since something that Issei said about her bouncing back made me curious, so I wish to see how it pans out. Afterwards we will confront Issei and see what he knows, and decide whether or not he is a threat to our plans. Elite 4. Bose. Ma'am. Satsuki. Serious. Sanejayama. Yuzu. Serious. Yes, my lady. Satsuki. Serious. Tell me in your honest words, between Issei and I, who do you think is the superior swordsman? Yuzu. Serious. Please do not take this as disrespect, my lady, but I believe that Issei far surpasses even your level of swordsmanship. Satsuki. Smirks. HMPH. I see. As Satsuki had another cup of tea poured by her butler, she looked at her tablet which showed Issei's transcript. The black-haired girl now definitely became intrigued in the white-haired boy, since if he was truly that strong, then having a skilled and powerful warrior at her side would not be beneficial for her plans in the long run. Plus she was indeed curious on how he was able to harm something that was powered by life fibers. Satsuki. Mind. Smirks. HMPH. My first day here and you're already becoming more and more interesting the more I hear about you. I am indeed curious about just what kind of person you are. Issei Hyoudou, Sparda. That's it, guys. Thanks for watching and supporting us. See you in the next part.